Welcome to Missouri Sports Talk. I'm your host, Cameron Staley, and today we've got episode 99. That means that tomorrow I'm filming episode 100, so I'm very excited for that. Some house cleaning stuff. If you guys didn't know, I made brackets for literally every single class. We've had 294 games in the Missouri high school football playoffs so far, and I am 230 and 64. That's good enough for a 78% record. So I'm doing pretty good. I've lost 6 of my 28 Final Four teams. I'm assuming that number's going to go up this week, obviously. I'm hoping out of the 28 Final Four teams, I'm hoping to carry 16 to 18 of them in. That would be really nice. I guess we'll see, though. I hope I have the rest of the 22 in. That would be cool, but we'll see how that goes. We've got some exciting games this week, so let's go ahead. Let's review this past week first. 8-man scoreboard. We'll start with Lockwood and Greenfield. This game, not close at all. Ends up being 51-8. Albany, they were number 2 in the media polls, I believe. They were undefeated, 10-0, and they get taken down by their rivals. Worth County wins it 40-34 on the road. Archie versus Appleton City. This was the one that I was at. This was the Missouri Sports Talk game of the week. It ends up being 52-30. It was a good game, but I don't know. I mean, Archie had it the whole entire way. It was 32-8 at half, I want to say. And then, Appleton City outscored them in the second half, but it didn't really matter. Archie ends up winning the district championship. I had a good time, though. Got a team picture. That's my first team picture ever, actually. So I had a good time with them. They were excited that I was there. Rockport defeats West Nodaway, I guess also known as Nodaway Valley, 30-28. So Corbin Jacob, 111 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 79 rushing yards, a rushing touchdown, 10 tackles, and a fumble recovery. So, he played very well on both sides of the ball. Bishop LeBlanc blew out Plattsburgh 76-22. This game wasn't close at all. Trey Ick, if I'm pronouncing that correct, I'm hoping it's Ick. It's ICKE, so I'm assuming it's Ick. 8 receptions, 105 receiving yards, 3 receiving touchdowns, 35 rushing yards, and a defensive interception. That's another one that played good on both sides of the ball. So our Missouri Sports Talk Player of the Week for Week 12, one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the state. A lot of people don't know him because he's playing 8-man football, if we're going to be honest. If he were playing 11, almost everybody in the state would know him. I promise you that. This is Bramer quarterback Jordan Haley. So they end up winning this game 84-46 over Wellington Napoleon. They're sitting at 11-0 district champions. Jordan threw for 508 passing yards, 10 passing touchdowns, 96 rushing yards, a rushing touchdown, and a fumble recovery over on defense. So 604 total yards and 11 total touchdowns in one game. A lot of quarterbacks in the state would be really happy if that's a 2 or 3 game line. That's a good 2 or 3 game line. Jordan's going out here and doing it in one game, and it's just business as usual. He's going out there and throwing 6 to 8 touchdowns a game. This guy's crazy. He's setting records, national, state, school. He's probably got every single school quarterback record by now. If not, he will by the end of his career. That is coming up here, 1 to 3 games. I'm hoping it's the 3. It would be very nice if they go 14-0. I have them as my state champs. And now's a good time to announce that I'm doing Missouri Sports Talk MVP. So I'd say right now Jordan is the front runner. Class 1 scoreboard. We'll start with Penny and West Platte. That one's just not the most entertaining game in the world, if we're going to be honest. 7-4 versus 5-6. Records after the game is over, of course. 33-23 is the final there. Tipton makes quick work of Salisbury. Great basketball school for the Panthers. Tipton's pretty good at basketball as well, but Salisbury, that's a basketball school. They had a great football season though, but they're getting all their players back for the start of the season. Adrian beats Ashgrove 27-0. I think I took Adrian by single digits. I took him by 8 points, so I thought it was going to be a lot closer than that. Figured that Ashgrove would put some points on the board, but they can't do it. Marionville, they beat Pierce City 26-7. They struggled this one a little bit more than I expected. I thought that they would probably make quick work of Pierce City. I think I was underrating Pierce City way too much this season. It felt like I was always picking against them and they're always winning. So, Pierce City had a solid season, but Marionville, my state championship pick, they end the Eagles' season. St. Vincent versus Van Far was on Saturday. Van Far, they saw their season come to an end with a 49-8 loss to the number one team in the media, the St. Vincent Indians. It is what it is there. The offense got shut down for Van Far. St. Vincent's rolling. I really think that Marionville is their only competition. I think they can do it, but I am going to stick with Marionville. But I'm saying it. I think St. Vincent can do it. I think they can win state. Westran, they lose to Harrisburg in the district semifinals. I had this happening. I took Harrisburg, went out on a limb and took them. A lot of people did not. If there was a fan vote around the state, if I put something out like that, it would probably be 70% saying that Westran was going to win. They do not get it done. Victor Schaus, if I'm saying his last name correctly, 16 tackles for the Bulldogs. Great game by him. Class 2 scoreboard, we'll start with Bowling Green versus Herman. I thought this game was not going to be very close, but Herman actually keeps it close. They had a solid season. Bowling Green, they're rolling though. They're 11-1. They're only lost to Valley Catholic, who we'll get to next. They actually play against each other next week. Bowling Green is hosting. Valley Catholic, like I said, they win 63-21 over Crothersville. The Tigers had a great season, 10-2. They did very good this season, better than I expected. But it comes to an end to a team that's in my opinion, probably going to be the runner-ups. I'm taking Valley Catholic as a runner-up. We'll see if that happens. My state championship pick, Fair Grove, they win 42-14 over Liberty Mountain View. This is a very impressive win. They're 12-0, and now they travel to Lafayette County, who beat Father Tolton 82-41. 82 points in an 11-man football game. The 8-man games, I just said Bramer dropped 84. That's business as usual, but 82 in a Class 2 game? That's crazy. The Huskers' offense is insane. Fairgrove is going to have an insane test this week. We'll see if they can get it done. Mid-Buchanan beats Brookfield. This is the battle of the undefeateds. I think this is the only undefeated versus undefeated game this past Friday. And, the Dragons are rolling. They're sitting at 12-0. South Shelby wins over Monroe City 6-0. Where'd the offenses go? I don't know. I took South Shelby by 17. Yeah, and there are 6 total points scored in the game. So I don't necessarily know what went on there. I don't know if there are some injuries that both teams were battling and the offense just wasn't there, or if the defenses are really that good. But, 6-0, South Shelby gets it done. So, here they are in the state quarterfinals. Class 3 scoreboard, Blair Oaks makes quick work of Boonville. I think we kind of expected that, though, if we're going to be honest. They win by 43. Live for Life, they beat John Burroughs. I'm not surprised by this one either. I hold on, let me look. I took Live for Life by 16. Looking back on that was probably a little crazy, but, they get it done. Seneca, they blow out Forsyth 64-7. Forsyth, they've got a good basketball team as well, so that's what they're going to be focusing on now. Odessa 48-0 over Oak Grove. I want to say this game was pretty close when they played in the regular season. I think it was within 14 points. I want to say that Odessa won that game. I think it was at Oak Grove. This one ends up being at Odessa. 48-0 is the win. Mount Vernon, they get the upset over Stratford. This is a big one. I thought Stratford was going to win this game. It was at Stratford, and I had seen Mount Vernon the week before, and their quarterback Gavin Johnson says we're going to show them what Big 8 football is about, and I think they did it. They won by 7 points. Mount Vernon, they now host Seneca this week. That's going to be a big game. Dexter, they beat St. Genevieve 28-13. St. Genevieve did a good job holding Jet Grahams to under 80 yards. I want to say he had 60-something, 70-something. Still a good game. But, I feel like I'm mentioning him for Dexter every single week. If you guys watch every week, you know that I say Jet Grahams every single week after a Dexter win. This week is Lee Michael Donald, 217 rushing yards. They defended the right uppercut, but they forgot about the left hook. So, Lee gets it done for the Bearcats. Warrenton beats Hannibal 42-28. I thought that game was going to be a lot closer. I was a little nervous that I was going to lose my state runner up there, but Warrenton gets it done. West Plains beats Bolivar. I went against Bolivar the first 2 games of the playoffs, and then that third one, I decided to go with them, and they lose. So maybe I was bad luck for them. I'm sorry about that for my Liberator fans. It is what it is. West Plains will now host Warrenton. Parkway North, they beat Orchard Farm 46-14. I took Orchard Farm in an upset in this one, and we see how that went. Festus, they blow out Perryville. Perryville ends up being 10-2. I don't think they're all that special. I think they had an easier schedule. I don't want to disrespect them too bad. They had a great season. Congratulations to the Pirates on a good season, but Festus is the better team overall, and that showed this Friday. Kearney beat Savannah 34-7. Both these teams had really good seasons. I shouldn't say had really good seasons. Savannah had a good season. Kearney is having a good season. They roll on, and now they play Warrensburg at Warrensburg this Friday. And speaking of Warrensburg, they beat Pleasant Hill 38-35. They lost during the regular season, and it was at Warrensburg. They lost by 7. And then they go to Pleasant Hill during the playoffs, and they win by 3. So they win the more important game. So, it is what it is. You split it, but you win the more important one. So really, you win the rivalry for the year. Class 5 scoreboard. We'll start with Lafayette versus Washington. I thought Washington would put up a fight. I thought they were hot, but stuff happened. Lafayette ends up winning 42-7. Helias, they win 30-18 over Lebanon. It looks like it was a close game, but it really seems like Helias was in control this whole entire game. The scoreboard just doesn't necessarily say it. Platte County, they beat St. Pius X 45-23. I considered going to this game, but it ends up not being all that good. 22-point win for Platte County. The Pirates are rolling. I think they end up being state runner-ups. Republic beats Branson 35-10. Now, Branson was undefeated going into this game. A lot of people probably thought that they would win this one. I did take Republic in this game, and I was right. So now they host Helias this Saturday. I may go. It's up to a fan vote. We'll see if people decide that they want me there. But I've got a stat for you guys. Missouri State baseball commit Preston McCracken, who is Republic's quarterback, 240 rushing yards paired with 4 rushing touchdowns. Great game by Preston. Let's talk about Hazelwood East versus MICDS. MICDS, they win this game 38-14. I took them winning this game. Didn't necessarily think that they'd win by that many. Their Swiss Army knife, Brian Gould, committed to Army for baseball. He had 151 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 252 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, and a defensive interception. He's everywhere on the field. This time around, didn't catch any balls as long as I didn't miss that. But, overall, Brian Gould has been MICDS this year. I don't mean that as disrespect to anybody else on MICDS. They're all great players, but, the offense has been revolving around Gould. He's been doing great on defense. He's been doing great on special teams. We'll see how they do next season without him. It'll be interesting. Cardinal Ritter versus Cape Central. Ritter ends up winning this one 56-14. This one, I don't want to say it surprises me, but I didn't think it was going to be this far apart. Carson Boyd, 307 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, 107 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown. Class 6 scoreboard. We'll start with Rockbridge versus Troy. So GSV was there. John Huff, big shout out to him. He was telling me, he was like, yeah, the ref crew, they're just bad overall. But, obviously they weren't favoring anyone necessarily, but the calls were going better for Rockbridge. So they ended up winning this one 43-19. CBC, they get upset by Kirkwood. This is a big one. This is the biggest upset of the year. I'm really surprised by this one. And, I'm not mad about it if we're going to be honest. I did have CBC in the Final Four, but, taking down the private schools, that's always fun. Seckman, they lose at home to Jackson. I feel like this one was pretty expected. Seckman was 10-0 going into this game, but they kind of play a cupcake schedule during the regular season. And, it never really works out for them during the playoffs. So Jackson, they're 9-2. They are going to Kirkwood this week. Lee Summit North defeated Lee Summit 29-15. I have a stat here. I tried to reach out to the guy to get the pronunciation on his first name. Unfortunately, he was not able to reach back out to me before recording this, so I'm sorry if I butcher his name. It's either Cerrone Harrison or Kyron Harrison. It's spelled Cirron. But Mr. Harrison, he has 8 tackles, 4 sacks, and a forced fumble. Great game by him. Blue Springs South, they lose at home to Liberty 28-7. Jackson Hicks for Liberty, 278 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Nixa defeated Joplin 48-21. This is right along the lines of what happened during the regular season. Torrin Jones ended up having a good game for Joplin. It ended up not being enough because Nixa's a powerhouse. Cantwell continue to do what he's been doing. I believe he had 11 pancakes. That's what it says on Max Preps. I'll give you 2 more stat lines. We'll start on offense. Their running back, Dylan Ribera, 239 rushing yards and 6 rushing touchdowns. On defense, Parker Mann, 22 tackles and a blocked punt. That's crazy. That is insane. So let's go ahead with this week's predictions. You'll notice something on the scoreboards. How about I just put it up right now on the 8-man? There's 2 blank spots down at the bottom because there's only 4 games in 8-man this week, now that we're in the quarterfinals. Next week, there's going to be 4 blank spots because there's only 2 games. And the week after that, there's only going to be 1 game. So I think you guys understand that trend. I'm sure you guys are smart enough to pick up on that. But let's go ahead and start with Worth County hosting North Shelby. I think this game ends up being the furthest one apart of them all. I think that Worth County will end up winning this one by 16. Bramer versus Concordia. This one has already happened this year. Bramer got it done. But Concordia is rolling. Obviously, they're in state quarterfinals. They win a district championship. So I think this one ends up being closer this time. Give me Bramer by 14. Rockport versus Bishop LeBlanc. LeBlanc's been playing really good this year. I don't necessarily think that Rockport will be the one to stop him. I think if anybody stops him, it's going to be Archie. So I will take Bishop LeBlanc by 10 points on the road. In the 8-man game of the week, it has to be Archie versus Lockwood. I'm not going to it, but if I hadn't gone to Archie last week, I probably would have considered going this week. I do think Archie wins this one at home. All right, Class 1 scoreboard for this week. We'll start with Penny versus North Platte. There's 10 games on Friday night, and I left it up 9 games for everybody to vote per day. I think there's 10 on Friday, 18 on Saturday. I chose 9 from each day for people to vote on. And Penny versus North Platte was the one that got left out for Friday night. I just feel like it's not going to be that fun of a game. I'm going to take Penny by 10 points. St. Vincent versus Crystal City is going to be along the same lines. I think that St. Vincent will end up winning this game by 21 points. Marionville versus Adrian. I don't want to say Marionville is on upset watch, but they could be on upset watch because Adrian is an insane football team. I do think that with Cash Pomeroy, the Marionville Comets will get this one done. I will say they win by 13 at home. In the Class 1 game of the week, I may even be going there, since it's up to fan vote. I don't know until Friday at 7 in the morning when the votes close. It's Tipton versus Harrisburg, and Tipton's a good football team. This one was close the first time around. I think it'll be a little bigger of a gap in the second one. But we'll see. We'll see. I think Tipton ends up winning this game. Class 2 scoreboard, we will start with Lamar versus Pembroke Hill. I get that Pembroke Hill is an undefeated football team, but I feel like Lamar's just better. I really slipped up taking Warsaw. I thought Warsaw could get it done. They didn't do it. I think Lamar makes it to the Final Four once again. Give me the Tigers by 16. Mid Buchanan versus South Shelby. Mid Buchanan, they're rolling this year. They're 12-0. South Shelby, they're coming off a 6-0 win against Monroe City. That's an interesting score. I don't know what's up there. I am going to take Mid Buchanan by 10 points. Bowling Green versus Valley Catholic. I went to this game, I want to say it was week 8. And, Valley Catholic really put it on the Bobcats. It wasn't really that close, and now they're having the rematch in the state quarterfinals. Second time at Bowling Green this season. I think Valley still wins. I think it'll be closer this time. Give me the Warriors by 14. The Class 2 game of the week obviously has to be Lafayette County versus Fairgrove. This is another one that is up to vote. We'll see if we end up going to Higginsville. But, I've got to be honest. I feel like the road team will get this one done. I took Fairgrove as my state championship pick, so it would be kind of weird if I went against them. So give me Fairgrove. Class 3 scoreboard. We'll start with Blair Oaks and Hallsville. I think we know how this one's going to go. Give me Blair Oaks by 33. Live for Life versus Dexter. I could see Live for Life winning this game. I've got to be honest. I could see them making it to the Final Four and hosting either Mount Vernon or Seneca. Never mind. They're at home, so they would host. No, they wouldn't host either of them. What am I talking about? Live for Life will be on the road next week, no matter what, if they win this game against Dexter. And then I believe Dexter will be at home if Mount Vernon wins, on the road if Seneca wins. It gets a little confusing, so I'm sorry about that. But anyways, don't worry about me. I'm thinking out loud right now. Live for Life versus Dexter. I had all that context for no reason because I'm taking Dexter by 3 points. Odessa versus Maryville. I had this one happening, and I don't know how this one's going to go. I've got to be honest. I could see either of these teams winning this game. I do have Maryville in the Final Four, though, so I'm going to stick true to that. Give me Maryville by 9 points. The Class 3 game of the week is easily Mount Vernon versus Seneca. Mount Vernon with a big upset over Stratford last week. I feel like not a crazy amount of people necessarily believe that would happen. I thought Stratford would win. I know everybody at Mount Vernon was very confident in that. But now they play Seneca. I'd like to see another upset, but I think Seneca ends up winning this game. If we're going to be honest, I don't want to say it's going to be a blowout, but, I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but we'll see. We'll see how that one goes. Class 4 scoreboard. We'll start with Festus versus Gateway. I don't know how Gateway made it to here. If they played Sullivan, I think they would have lost in the district championship, but they get the Pacific matchup, so they end up getting it done. I think Festus is just a different animal this year, so give me Festus by 24. West Plains versus Warrenton. I think these two teams are on just completely different levels. I'm going to take Warrenton by 21 points in this game. I don't necessarily think it'll be all that competitive. Parkway North versus Lutheran North. This is a big one. Dakari Hollis was the Lutheran North quarterback last year. Now he's at Parkway North. The Vikings are hosting this game. And, I don't want to necessarily say it's like a revenge game because I don't think Hollis has got anything on the Crusaders. But, this is like, it's kind of like a prove a point kind of game. But I think that Lutheran North gets this one done quite easily. I think these two teams are on different levels. The Vikings are really good this year, but they're not Lutheran North good. I have them as my state champs. So I will take the Crusaders by 28. In the Class 4 game of the week, obviously it has to be a Friday night game between Warrensburg and Kearney. Kearney, they're a good football team. I think we probably figure they're going to win this game. We'll see how it goes, but I am going to take Kearney. That would set up Lutheran North at Kearney. That would be a big one. Class 5 scoreboard, we'll start with Webb City versus Platte County. Not certain this game ends up being too close. Give me Platte County by 25 on the road. For Zumwalt West versus MICDS, I was just singing the praises of Brian Gould and MICDS, so give me them by 14 on the road. Cardinal Ritter versus Lafayette. This is a big game. The Lancers are having a great season. Robbie Preckle, absolute dog. He's committed to Northwestern. And then Cardinal Ritter's quarterback committed to Illinois. So they'll see each other in some Big Ten play in the future. But I will take Cardinal Ritter by 18 points. They're at home. They're a great football team. I think they get it done quite easily. The Class 5 game of the week, easily, Republic versus Helias. I feel like a lot of people may say it's Cardinal Ritter versus Lafayette. I think if we're going to talk about competitiveness, it has to be Republic versus Helias. These two teams played in the state quarterfinals last year, and Republic won by 7. I think it gets flipped this year. I think Helias ends up winning this one. Class 6 scoreboard. How about Liberty versus Park Hill? That should be a pretty all right game up in the Kansas City area on Saturday. I think that Liberty wins this one by 8 points. It should be entertaining. I could definitely see Park Hill getting through that one. Kirkwood versus Jackson. Kirkwood coming off of the upset. I don't necessarily think that they'll be able to do it again, though. I think Jackson, with the proper game plan, they're probably not underestimating them. I've got a feeling that CBC went into that one a little cocky, and that's what happened there. They weren't necessarily readily game planned. They weren't in the right mindset for that game, and Kirkwood obviously was. So I think Jackson will be, a little more prepared for Kirkwood. Rockbridge versus DeSmet. This is the third year in a row that these teams have met in the playoffs. The last two were in the district championships, I want to believe. Maybe in one of them district semifinals. Anyways, districts in the last two. DeSmet won them both. And now they meet in the state quarterfinals in Columbia. I can see this one going either way. But when you get deeper in the playoffs, you think you can't beat yourself. And you have to be, I don't want to say flawless, but you can't make mistakes. And I feel like this Rockbridge team, they have some mistakes here and there. I don't want to say that they're beating themselves. Obviously, they just blew out an undefeated Troy last week, 43-19. But when you think about DeSmet, that's a team that just doesn't make mistakes. They don't turn the ball over. They don't let guys past them. I feel like DeSmet wins this one close because they're not going to make those little mistakes. I think that the Spartans end up winning this one by 2 points. And, like I said, I can see Rockbridge winning this game. We'll see what happens there. This is a big one. In the Class 6 game of the week, obviously, undefeated Lee Summit North and undefeated Nixa. This is a big one. All eyes on this game. Friday night, this is another one that's up for vote. It's seeming like I'm going to Tipton, though. We'll see if anybody is able to put anything together there. But I will take Lee Summit North at home in this one. I don't know what to say. Give me Lee Summit North. I feel like Nixa can win this game, obviously. Big shout out to all the guys down there. But I'm going to ride with the Broncos. I took them as the state runner-up. So kind of same thing with DeSmet. I took them as the state champs. And, I've got some connections at Rockbridge, so I feel bad, taking that pick. Kind of same thing with Nixa. Got some connections at Nixa. Feel bad taking that pick, but give me DeSmet by 2 and Lee Summit North winning. So that's all we've got for today. Like I said, episode 100 will be up Saturday at 10 in the morning, followed by Saturday game. I don't know if I'll put it up that night at 8 o'clock. I may put it up at Sunday around 9 or 10. We'll see what I decide to do there. But that's all I got for today. This has been Missouri Sports Talk. See you next time.